In this video, the learning target I'm going to talk about is I can graph an absolute value function using the transformation. So we're going to use what we've learned about transformations to graph some equations of absolute value functions. So when we graph an absolute value function, to find the first point, you're going to use your shifts. You're going to see how has the graph been shifted from the origin. So remember the inside number, anything inside the absolute values is a horizontal shift. Okay, so it's going to move you left and right. But the thing to remember about it is that it actually moves you in the opposite direction than what's listed. So this -2 is actually going to move me right 2. Okay, so I know from the origin my graph has been shifted right 2. The outside number moves me up and down. It's positive, so in this case, it's going to move me up 3. So I know from the origin, I'm going to go right 2 and then up 3. So right 2, up 3, and that is the first point on my graph. Okay, so this first point is just made up of the two shifts, the right 2 and the up 3. Lastly then, once you have this point, then you can just use your A value. Now notice there's nothing written here, but remember when nothing's written there, there's really a 1 there. We have 1 times the absolute value of x minus 2 plus 3. So our vertical stretch is a 1. So from this point, when I go over 1, I have a stretch of 1, so I go up 1. When I go over 1, I go up 1. And from those 3 points, I can just draw my V running through those 3 points. Okay, so that would be the graph of y equals the absolute value of x minus 2 plus 3. All right, looking at number 2 then, or the second one here, we have y equals 2 times the absolute value of x plus 3. You'll notice there's no vertical shift this time, so it's really a plus 0 on the end there. So when I think about the first point using my shifts, this plus 3 takes me left 3, and the 0 I'm not going to move up or down, so I'm going to go left 3, 1 2 3, and this point here will be the first point on my graph. Once I have that point on my graph, I'm then going to use the A as my vertical stretch. So when I go over 1, I have a vertical stretch of 2, so I'm up 2, and then when I go over 1 the other way, I've been vertically stretched 2. And then once again, I can just draw my V going through those 3 points. Okay, let's look at 2 last examples here. So this example on the left says y equals -1/2 x minus 1. Notice that there's no horizontal shift this time, right? There's nothing with the x, but we are shifted down 1. So my first point is going to be at -1. And then I have an A value that's -1/2. So because it's negative, rather than opening upwards, it's now going to open downwards. And my stretch is a half. So when I go over 1, I go down a half. When I go over 1, I'm going to go down 1/2. Okay, so I'm going to ultimately get a V that looks like this. Okay. And then lastly here, our last example is y equals -3 times the absolute value of x plus 1 plus 5. So plus 1 is going to move me left 1. The plus 5 is going to move me up 5. So left 1, up 5. That is going to be my first point. Okay, once again, that point is from both shifts. And then the -3 is the A, it's my vertical stretch. So from that point, I'm going to go over 1, down 3, over 1, down 3. And I can just draw the V through those 3 points. Okay, and just remember, like I said, negatives should open downwards, positives, you're going to be opening upwards.